A few weeks back, I went to my first PAX, and I suppose you could say I went full of fear. You see, I'm not really good in crowds. Sometimes even at my local game store, if Friday Night Magic is too packed full of people, I can become very anxious and uncomfortable. When I was in grade school, I walked around most of the time with my eyes cast downward, partially so I wouldn't attract the gaze of bullies, but also just because I was terrified of making eye contact with anyone. As my favorite author Octavia Butler once wrote, I spent so much time looking at the ground, it's a wonder I didn't become a geologist. From the first moment I arrived, I found that indeed I was lost in a sea of people. The convention hall was huge, and even with a friend showing me around, I felt hopelessly lost and out of place. But I began to feel less so when I saw just who I was surrounded by. People in cosplay, people wearing gamer shirts, people like myself who, in any other setting, might look awkward or out of place, but here, we all fit right in. These were my people, are my people, and if I was to be in a crowd, I was glad I am glad you are that crowd. Yet, there was still a distance between us. Here at PAX, at least, we are all together, and yet also, we are still apart. I wondered if I should be waiting in more lines, but I absolutely abhor lines. So instead, I waited aimlessly through a sea of light and sound. PAX seems like it is almost entirely video games, and it was the rare booth that I saw, selling things like board games and Magic the Gathering cards. That's not to say tabletop and similar gaming was entirely absent. I just felt it had a noticeably diminished presence. There was a lot of esports in virtual reality. They said that virtual reality is an immersive, interactive experience. Yet, as I watched people play, I could not help but feel overwhelmed with a feeling of disconnect. So I left the main hall and walked a short block to the Paramount Theater, where Magic the Gathering and Kaladesh had taken over. To watch row after row of people playing Magic is to watch a flurry of hands and gestures. It is very appropriate that Kaladesh is the set to introduce electricity counters, because standing there in that packed theater of players, that's how it felt. Electric. Not the new cards being spoiled, or the new plane, or the new artwork, or the new mechanics, or even the panels, but the games being had and the connections between people that were made. That was the electricity in the air. As I walked around watching the hundreds, even thousands of games being played, I heard a lot of talk about moves and rules, phases and attacks, but I also heard people asking about story. Not just Magic's story, although that certainly was talked about, but our story, yours and mine. Where are you from? What do you do? How did you find Magic? For most of us, we didn't find Magic the Gathering. It found us, and through it, we found each other. Outside was the Kaladesh Inventors Fair come to life, and I'm not going to lie to you and say it wasn't more than a little bit corny.
Please join us as we take a stroll around the block and show everyone what Kaladesh and the Inventors Fair have to offer. 2 minutes away, come witness the wonders of Kaladesh as Magic the Gathering takes over the Phantom Theater. Live at PAX!
But I think that it is also brave in this age of video explosions and virtual reality to think that a really cool thing to do at PAX is put on a parade. And here too I saw just how tactile and interactive Magic is. The inventions in the world made real. The idea of building your own thopter or watching glass blowers create shape and form using nothing more than fire and sand. Magic may not be a great esport, but esports are not great Magic. In the end, it's not so important which is the biggest game streamed so much as the friendship you make and the loves you discover while playing this game. As a child, I hid from bullies and felt forever alone. And yet, while walking around at PAX with so many of you, I realized that while bullies may never go away, I am no longer alone. We are not alone.
Weird. Too much.
Whatever. There we go. All right, that's it. We're good. Just, okay.
We're stuck in an infinite loop.
And hey, if you want more from Magic and PAX, be sure to check out Josh Lee Kwai's awesome vlog, with a not too small amount of footage of yours truly. And if you felt my comedy interview with Mark Rosewater was lacking, then you can watch him answer questions for real here.